Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're diving into a really interesting global market. It's called Global Concentration Monitors.
Right, and it might sound a bit technical up front.
Yeah, exactly. But before we get lost in the numbers, let's quickly talk about what these are. Think of them as super precise sensors.
Critical sensors really, used everywhere.
Right. Across tons of industries. They measure, the levels of specific things, could be air quality in a factory, maybe chemical mixes in pharma, or even pollutants in water.
Absolutely. They're key for safety, for quality control, environmental checks, essential stuff.
And as you'll hear, the demand is, well, it's really taking off. We've got this detailed report, the Global Concentration Monitors Market Report 2025 analysis.
It's packed with data.
Totally. Sales revenues, growth forecasts for regions, countries, got data for 2021, projections for 2025, and even way out to 2033.
Pretty comprehensive look at that.
Exactly. So our mission today, let's quickly pull out the big insights, maybe find some surprising trends in all this data, okay? Let's unpack this.
That's good.
So starting big picture, the global market for these monitors, it's absolutely booming.
Yeah, the top line numbers are quite something.
Back in 2021, global sales were 2,821.31 million.
Okay.
Fast forward to 2025, it's projected to climb to 3,629.52 million.
A decent jump.
But wait for it. By 2033, we're looking at a huge 6,006.84 million.
Wow. Okay, that's significant growth.
It really is. That works out to a strong compound annual growth rate KGR of 6.5% globally.
Yeah.
And for anyone listening, CGR is basically like a smooth average annual growth rate over that whole time. Shows real consistent expansion.
What's fascinating here is it's not just steady growth, right? The market is set to nearly double its revenue in about a decade.
Double, yeah. From under $3 billion to over $6 billion.
Exactly. That points to a really widespread increasing demand for these things across the globe. It tells you they're becoming more and more critical, not just some niche tech anymore.
So a massive global surge, nearly doubling by 2033. That's the headline. But does that hold true everywhere? Are some regions growing faster than others?
That's the next logical question, yeah. Let's break it down.
Okay, let's start our regional deep dive with North America. How's it looking there? Well, the region reported sales of $990.28 million back in 2021.
A big chunk of the global market already.
Definitely. That's set to climb to $1,260.33 million by 2025, and then hit a really substantial $2,046.84 million in 2033.
Okay, so strong growth continues.
Yep. North America's KGR is a very solid 6.249%.
And within North America, I assume the U.S. is leading?
You be right?
Yeah, the U.S. Predictably leads the way. Sales were $793.83 million in 2021, projected to hit $1,549.87 million by 2033. That's a CAGR of 5.845%, so still very strong.
And Canada?
Canada is also showing a really strong upward curve. It started at $140.71 million in 2033. That's almost tripling its 2021 value with a pretty high KGR, 7.219%.
Okay, higher than the U.S. then. But here's where it gets really interesting. Mexico.
Mexico, let me guess, high growth.
Yeah. Very high. It was $55.73 million in 2021, projected to shoot up to $153.48 million by 2033.
Okay, wow.
Its CAGR is 8.516%. That's the highest in North America, significantly higher than the U.S. or Canada. What do you think could be driving that specific acceleration in Mexico?
That is remarkable. The report doesn't spell out the why, of course, just the numbers. But you could speculate, right?
Sure.
Maybe it reflects a boom in certain manufacturing areas, perhaps automotive, electronics,
Yeah.
places where this kind of precise monitoring is absolutely vital.
Quality control, environmental rules, maybe? Especially with supply chains shifting?
Exactly. Could be increased production moving there, needing to meet certain standards. It definitely looks like a growth hotspot.
Okay, so North America. A major player, significant share, but also some really dynamic growth, especially in Mexico. How does that compare if we look across the pond to Europe?
Let's see. Europe generated $722.26 million back in 2021.
All right.
That's projected to rise to $915.13 million in 2025 and then hit $1,501.71 million by 2033.
So also crossing that $1.5 billion mark.
Okay.
And the CAGR.
Europe's overall CAGR is 6.387%. Pretty close to North America's rate, actually.
Okay, and within Europe, is it evenly spread?
It's quite diverse, as you'd expect. The UK shows really strong growth. It's expected to more than double its 2021 sales,
Okay.
hitting $338.32 million by 2033. That's a CAGR of 7.114%.
Higher than the regional average then?
Yep. Germany is also very steady, very robust,
Right.
projected to reach $246.35 million by 2033, growing at 6.821% CAGR.
Still strong. What about France, Italy, others?
France is looking at about $201 million by 2033, CAGR around 5.86%. Italy projected $135 billion, TGR 5.6%.
Yeah.
Russia, Spain, Sweden, Denmark, Switzerland, Luxembourg,
Yeah.
they're all contributing significantly.
Right.
Their CGRs are mostly in that kind of 5 to 6.3%
Right.
range. So you see this consistent, mature market expansion across a lot of the
No
continent.
sense.
But what's really worth pointing out is the rest of Europe segment.
Ah, the catch-all category. Sometimes those hide interesting stories.
They really do here. This group started at $43.51 million in 2021.
Okay, relatively small.
But it's projected to almost triple, hitting $114.95 million by 2033. That makes it the fastest growing bit in Europe, with an impressive 8.114% CAGR.
Wow. Okay, so emerging markets within Europe, or maybe specific industries in those countries, are really picking up steam.
Seems like it. A strong catch-up effect happening there.
Fascinating stuff in Europe. All right, let's shift gears again, head over to Asia Pacific. This region often gets talked about as a growth engine.
And the numbers usually back that up.
Yeah, Asia Pacific contributed $648.90 million in 2021. That's set to grow to $862.09 million in 2025. And then jump to $1,482.25 million by 2033. Its CAGR is strong, 7.009%, noticeably higher than the global average. So does it live up to the hype?
Oh, absolutely. Asia Pacific is really dynamic when you dig into these figures. China, no surprise, leads the pack regionally.
Right.
Sales there are projected to almost double, from $208 million in 2021 to nearly $500 million, $490.58 million by 2033. That's a 7.327% CAGR.
Very strong. Japan?
Japan also shows robust growth, climbing towards $276 million by 2033, with a CAGR around 6.3%.
Solid. Okay. And India. We often hear about rapid growth there.
Yes, and India really stands out here. It's expected to more than double its 2021 value, starting around $72 million, and hitting $186.63 million by 2033. That's driven by a very impressive 8.147% AGR.
Wow, over 8%. That's significant.
It really is. Then you have South Korea, Australia, Singapore, Southeast Asia as a whole, all contributing substantial amounts and growing well. TGR is mostly between 5.6% and over 7%.
So broad strength across the region.
Definitely. But the highest growth rate in Asia-Pacific actually comes from Taiwan.
Oh, interesting. What are the numbers there?
Taiwan recorded about $29 million in 2021. It's projected to rocket up to $77.08 million by 2033.
That's a big jump from a smaller base.
It is. And it reflects an 8.37% CEGR. That's a
Yeah.
really powerful upward trend, suggesting maybe significant industrial development or perhaps new regulations kicking in, driving that specific demand.
Okay, Asia Pacific definitely living up to its reputation. Now let's head south. Look at South America. How's the market shaping up there?
South America's market was valued at $189.03 million in 2021.
All right.
Set to grow to $237.73 million in 2025, and then reach $379.52 million in 2033.
Okay, so smaller overall than, say, Europe or North America, but still growing.
Exactly. Its CAGR is 6.021%. Still healthy growth.
And within the region.
Brazil is the largest player by far. It's projected to more than double its 2021 sales, hitting about $163 million by 2033. That's a 6.234% CAGR.
Makes sense. Biggest economy there. Argentina.
Argentina also shows strong expansion, forecast to hit around $75 million by 2033, with a slightly higher CAGR at 6.408%.
Okay.
Then you have countries like Colombia, Peru, Chile, also seeing steady increases. Their TRGR are mostly in that 5% to 6.6% range, consistent growth.
What about the rest of South America?
Interestingly, that segment shows a relatively more modest CAGR, 4.836%.
Lower than the main countries, then.
Yeah. It suggests that at least for now, the growth in South America is more concentrated in those larger economies we just mentioned.
Got it. Okay, moving on to the Middle East. The numbers here look quite impressive.
They really do. High growth potential often cited for this region.
Yeah, the market there was $180.56 million in 2021, expected to hit $236.73 million in 2025, and then almost double to $410.16 million by 2033. This region has a high CKR of 7.112%. That's, significantly above the global average. What's fueling this?
Well, the Middle East is definitely a growth hotspot for these monitors. It lines up with a lot of the broader economic diversification strategies happening there.
Ah, right. Moving beyond oil and gas.
Exactly. Saudi Arabia leads the region in market size and has a very strong 7.645% CAGR, projected to reach over $150 million by 2033.
Impressive. Turkey.
Turkey's also performing robustly.
Yeah.
Sales projected to more than double by 2033 for the GGR of nearly 7%, 6.899%.
Solid. Is there a standout growth leader?
Yes, the United Arab Emirates, the UAE, it's the fastest grower in the region.
Okay.
Started around $25.6 million in 2021, but it's projected to nearly triple, hitting $62.45 million by 2033. That's powered by a 7.75% CAGR.
Wow, nearly 8%. Why such acceleration there and in Saudi?
Again, we're speculating based on the numbers. But it could well be linked to big infrastructure projects, continued industrial expansion, maybe stricter environmental regulations being implemented.
All demanding more sophisticated monitors.
Precisely. Egypt and Qatar also show strong growth, with KGRs over 6.9%. Like South America, though, the rest of the Middle East category has a lower CGR, just under 4%.
Okay, so growth concentrated in those key diversifying economies.
Seems to be the pattern, yes.
All right, finally, let's round out our regional tour with Africa. How's the market looking there?
Africa's concentration monitor market reached $90.28 million in 2021.
Okay, the smallest regional market in terms of starting value.
Correct. It's projected to grow to $117.52 million in 2025, and then nearly double to $186.37 million by 2033.
So still significant growth in percentage terms, the CDR.
Africa's CGR is 5.934%, so nearly doubling by 2033, decent growth.
And the key countries driving this.
Nigeria stands out as the continent's leader in this specific market. Sales there are projected to more than double, from about $44 million in 2021 to around $95 million by 2033. That's a solid 6.33% CAGR.
Okay. South Africa.
South Africa also shows significant expansion. Starting from $25 million in 2021, it's forecast to hit nearly $56 million by 2033, with a slightly higher CIGR, actually, 6.627%.
Interesting. And the rest of Africa, does it follow the pattern?
It does. Similar to the other rest of categories we saw, the rest of Africa segment shows a comparatively lower CAGR, just under 4%, 3.979%.
So again, growth seems concentrated in the larger economies, Nigeria and South Africa for now.
Exactly. It suggests that while the overall market is growing, a lot of that momentum is currently centered there. Could definitely signal future opportunities in other African nations as their industrial bases grow.
That makes sense. So we've toured the globe now.
We have quite a bit of data there.
Definitely. So how do we tie this all together? What are the main takeaways?
Well, if we connect all these dots to the bigger picture, it's really clear that while the global market is growing significantly overall,
That's 6.5% CAGR.
right, but Asia-Pacific, with its 7% CAGR, and the Middle East, slightly higher at 7.1%, are really setting the pace in terms of growth rate, both outpacing the global average.
Driven by industrial expansion, diversification.
Seems likely. Those regions are rapidly expanding their industrial capabilities, and that naturally drives demand for these kinds of essential monitoring tools.
But North America and Europe aren't exactly lagging.
Not at all. Despite slightly lower KGRs, around 6.2% and 6.4% respectively, they still hold massive market shares.
Right. They contribute hugely to that overall $6 billion projection.
Exactly. It shows continued strong demand even in more mature economies. And then remember those standout stories.
Yeah, Mexico.
Mexico, the rest of Europe, India, Taiwan, the UAE, all showing individual KGRs well above their regional averages, some over 8%.
Which tells us.
It tells us that, focused, localized factors, maybe specific industry growth, maybe new regulations are creating these really significant new pockets of demand, these hot spots of accelerated growth.
So what does this all mean for you, our listener, trying to stay informed about these global market shifts?
Well, I think the key takeaway is
It means that this market for concentration monitors isn't just ticking along. It's experiencing really strong, widespread, and in many places, accelerating growth, pretty much across the board.
yeah, the underlying demand seems incredibly robust, driven by things like industrialization, the constant need for quality control, and definitely increasingly strict environmental regulations worldwide.
So it's not just about abstract numbers. This is about the crucial tools that let modern industries function safely, efficiently, and ideally responsibly on a global scale.
Well put.
Which kind of leads to a final thought, doesn't it? This raises an important question for you to consider. As industries keep changing and global regulations likely get even tighter, how might the uses and the sheer importance of these concentration monitors expand even further? Could they drive this market well beyond that projected, nearly $6 billion mark? Something to think about.
Definitely something to watch.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the Global Concentration Monitors Market Report 2025 analysis.
Been a pleasure.
And a reminder, the data for this deep dive was brought to you by Cognitive Market Research.